invitations over by the door. We're hosting that both in January, February, and March. It's a 3-part series. So please come and join us again, okay?
All right.
So again, that was Vincent Amar, Community Sales at Arbor Terrace, Prince William Commons.
Man, you are organized. You are organized. Look at that. Connected.
A lot of work went into that. So looking around this room, I think most of you know who I am. My name is Belle O'Neill. I'm the president of Prince William Community 100, at least for the next 4 months. In May, we will have a membership meeting, and someone else will take the throne, and I'll still be somewhere on the scenes. Has everyone in the room heard of the Prince William Committee in 100? Is there anyone that hasn't? Because I can give you a little spiel on it if I need to. It's my pleasure. Jack says I should give you a short version, so I'll give you a short version. I will tell you that I've been a member since 2016. That's 8 years, going on 9 years. I started out, I came into a meeting, I thought it was terrific. It was an annual membership meeting, as a matter of fact, and they had a full slate on the board. However, they did not have a treasurer, and I, for some odd reason, said I would do it, and they allowed me to do that. So for the next 6 years, I was the treasurer of the Committee of 100. And I've been here ever since. There are a couple of people in the group that I have a difficult time saying no to, and those people came and asked me if I'd be the president. And Jack is smiling back there. Word got out, so that's how I ended up in this position. President is only president is you can do it for 2 terms, so 2 years as president. And I was vice president for 1 year prior to that. So anyway, let me get back to the Prince William Committee of 100. It is a local civic organization. It is volunteer-led and operated. I'm a volunteer. This is not hardly my full-time job. Sometimes it feels like it, but it is not. Everyone on the committee pitches in to volunteer. What I love the most about the committee is that we make a concerted effort to develop committees that are balanced. And when I say balanced, it's people from all walks of life, different political persuasions. You know, we try to create balanced committees to develop our programs so that they are inviting and accessible to everyone. And we just try to come up with, we have meetings and we try to come up with topics that we think are hot topics for the community that we live in. We serve Prince William County, Manassas, the city, and Manassas Park City as well. So we try to involve all 3 whenever possible. Let's see, what else can I tell you about our Committee of 100? We have, happy to tell you that we have just revamped the website. So the website has lots of information, www.pwc100.org, because we are an organization. Log on, check out the website, join if you haven't joined yet. You can pay your dues online. You can register for meetings online. As soon as we get it uploaded, you can register. And we would love to have more members to join our team and bring wonderful programs to the community. Yes.
I was just asked, could you tell us what kind of programs you do?
Oh boy. Okay, so over the years, you know, we do all kinds. I will tell you that we have a program for February that we are working on. Our member, Mike Beatty, who's here at this table, brought the topic to the table. It was very well received, and we are looking forward to doing a program on panhandling in February. It's going to be interesting because I know who we're expecting to see at that meeting. So if you see it online, do sign up and try to make it to that meeting.
We do candidate forums in the fall.
We do. In the fall, prior to election season, we try to do candidate forums. So the Committee of 100 is definitely very well known for their participation in bringing local political candidate forums to the eye of the public. Let's see. Anything else? Other topics that we do. I mean, I remember when I first joined, we were doing topics, anything, gang violence, guns, and whatever we think is gonna, not necessarily trigger, but we just want things that we can investigate and learn more about. So we'll have each year, most years, we have programs, something related to schools, something related to maybe healthcare, development. We've definitely done data centers. We've done data centers, we've done data centers, we've done data centers. We're going to do data centers again. We might add a different twist to it, but we will do it. So really it's whatever, and even it's open for our members. If our members know of a topic that they want to have us talk about, we're open to it. Just bring it to the table, and we'll try to build something around it. Any other questions? Is there anything else I can tell you? I like you. What else you got?
About how many members do you have?
So, Prince William Committee of 100. We are a small organization. I will tell you that I've been a member since 2016. The maximum number of members that I recall having, I was a treasurer, so I know, we had 68 members. We tend to average about 40 members, to be quite honest. 40 members. If we could grow, we would. It's difficult. Ever since the pandemic, it's been a challenge to get people kind of out and about.
When I was president, we had 99.
This is Jack Kuyujian. I'm not sure what years you were president.
Oh, I have to look.
They didn't have calendars in those days.
He said when he was president, we had 99 members. Yeah. So, it fluctuates, it varies, but I will definitely say I've seen a difference since the pandemic years. So I am going to be introducing our moderator for this evening. Many of you know her. We have Kira Wooten. She is the Executive Director of Westminster Lake Ridge. I don't know if our folks at Arbor Terrace are too happy about me announcing this, but I've learned that it's a small community.
They're all friends.
They're all friends. They're all friends.
There absolutely is.
There are so many options, and that's what this is about. Our program tonight is lifestyle choices. Choices for retirement and longevity during retirement and whatever else I put on there. But it's all about choices. There's a place for everyone. There are different resources for everyone. So we're here tonight to find out what those are. We will do a question and answer session following the presentations from our special guests. If you have questions that you would like to write down for us, let me know. I'll put out some index cards where you can write them down as well, or you can just verbalize your question when that time comes. Kira Wooten. Kira Wooten is the Executive Director at Westminster Lake Ridge, where she oversees all aspects of the community's operations, including resident care, financial management, marketing, staff supervision, and compliance with regulations. She does it all. Ensuring a high quality of life for residents while maintaining the financial stability of the community. Kira serves as the primary point of contact for residents, families, staff, and external stakeholders. She has 20 years of experience in the senior living industry. She holds a bachelor's degree in English and Communications from Delaware State University and certifications from the Erickson Living Leadership Academy. Kira has a strong thirst for volunteerism. She was a board member for the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Northern Virginia for a long-standing chair of the Family and Consumer Science Board for Fairfax County Public Schools and a board member for the West Ridge Civic Association. She's currently active in streetlight community outreach. When Kira isn't championing for the lives of seniors, you can find her hiking, reading, and participating in Muay Thai. Have you ever heard of Muay Thai?
Where, what?
Muay Thai. I'm gonna turn the mic over to Kira so that she can tell us what Muay Thai is.
Aha!
That's all over here today, I appreciate it. We want our panelists to come sit here. Thank you for that gracious introduction. Good evening, everyone. You look great out there this evening. And so I am the guest moderator. This is my first time moderating, other than the ones that I moderate at my home at Westminster at Lake Bridge. And so believe me, those are thrilling and exciting most days. But I have the privilege here today to bring before you some great panelists. And they will be sharing with us today on lifestyle choices and retirement longevity. So if you're planning for your golden years, looking for affordable retirement, if you're thinking about aging in place or looking for an active adult community, or considering a caregiver coming in your home, this is the place to learn about from these experts that we'll talk with today. And so I first want to introduce to you Charlene Beckett, who is in the back of the room, and I'll ask Charlene to raise her hand for us. And I'd like to introduce Charlene. She is a native of Manassas. She has a passion for serving our community through nursing care. She has an education from Prince William County Schools of Practical Nursing and Shenandoah University. Recently, you can see that Charlene is a board-certified nurse coach, one of 34 in the state of Virginia. How impressive is that? And there are only about 1,200 in the country. Her career began at Prince William Hospital. She worked there for close to 18 years, and then went on to teaching in Prince William County. And she taught there for about 10 years. And so Charlene has held roles as a director of nursing for an assisted living facility, employee health, clinical supervisor for family practice, clinic, hospice, home health care, and currently visiting angels. When Charlene isn't working and giving up herself that way, she likes to spend time and has been happily married to her husband, Mike. And they attend Greenwich Presbyterian Church. She also has 2 grown children. She's the grandmother of 4 grandchildren and 2 dogs, who I'm sure are her other babies, Bonnie and Clyde. And she enjoys taking walks with her family and friends, yearly beach trips, swimming, and kayaking. She is certainly a water girl, right? And her goal is to purchase a camper in the near future so that she can enjoy camping trips with her friends and family. So welcome, Charlene. And then we have Brenda. Is Brenda here? There she is. Brenda Nolan Patton. She's a Human Resources Program Manager from Prince William County Department of Social Services. Brenda is a seasoned professional with over 15 years of experience in human services, specializing in support for older adults and seniors. She holds an MBA in public administration, equipping her with the skills to effectively manage and advocate for the needs of vulnerable populations. She's committed to her field. Brenda stays abreast of new trends and policies, ensuring that she can provide the most relevant, effective services to enhance the quality of life to those that she serves. So thank you, Brenda, for being here. And if I can ask Mr. Donald Scoggins? All right, hello. I don't think we've had an opportunity to meet, but welcome. And we're glad you're here. And Don, as he likes to be called, is a longtime resident of Prince William County. He has a comprehensive knowledge and professional experience comprising the private business sector, government, military service, and community activities. Don is an appointee to the Virginia Housing of Redevelopment Authority. Don is a former CEO, founder of Scoggins Property, Inc., a brokerage located within the District of Columbia that's owned and managed for 25 years with a diverse portfolio of investment properties. Don is involved in workforce housing initiatives, including spearheading the development of 6 1- and 2-bedroom duplex homes for veterans in the city of Manassas. This is a collaborative venture with the American Legion Post 114 in Manassas and People Inc., nonprofit housing developers. Civically engaged, Don is formally a member of numerous groups created to examine and educate citizens about local concerns. These include Prince William Committee of 100, Mid-County Civic Association, Lake Ridge Occoquan Coal Civic Association, Woodbridge Potomac Communities Civic Association, and Dale City Civic Association. Active memberships that Don is involved in is the American Legion Post 114, Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 1503, Vietnam Veterans of America Post Chapter 617, First Home Alliance Board Chairperson, Frederick Douglass Housing Corporation co-founder, and Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. Don loves to travel, and his travels has taken him through Europe, Africa, Asia, and is a Bronze Star recipient, service in Vietnam and in the U.S. Army Reserve officer. He is now retired. Don graduated from Hampton University with a bachelor's degree in architecture, a master's degree in urban and regional planning from the University of Pittsburgh. He and his wife have 2 adult sons and 1 grandson, and they worship together at Mount Olive Baptist Church here in Woodbridge. And certainly a good friend of mine, Rita Young, if you would raise your hand there in the back, Senior Advisor of Assisted Living Locators. And Rita was born in New York, moved to the DMV area in 2000 with her young son to begin a new chapter as a federal government employee. For 22 years, she dedicated herself to awarding and managing multi-million-dollar contracts, ultimately building a career in acquisition management. In 2022, after her son left for college, she decided to pursue her dreams and transition into the role that aligns with her passion for helping others. She is a proud owner of Assisted Living Locators, located here in Northern Virginia, offering no-cost placement and referral services to seniors and their families. Her work focuses on providing the best senior care options, including assisted living, memory care, and independent living, as well as care management services that connect families to a comprehensive network of senior resources. With a bachelor's degree in mass communications from State University of New York and a master's degree in urban policy and public administration from the City University of New York, she has been a valued power of communication and strategic planning. She began her career in New York City Department of Transportation, where she was afforded to manage a $22 million express bus program before accepting a federal government position in the Washington, D.C. area. She is deeply committed to addressing the challenges faced for senior community as an advocate, actively engaged with electing officials to voice concerns about the lack of affordable housing and resources for seniors. Through community involvement, she continues to raise awareness and drive change in these critical issues. And so we want to just take a moment to thank all of our panelists here today, as they each will share with us their points of view on some of the topics that we've discussed here today. getting down to business, if someone would like to from our panel, and I will ask Don if he will join us, because I'm interested to get to know about him and all of his contributions, to talk with us here about our topic of discussion of lifestyle choices. And since you have a view on really talking about housing and urban development, we'd love to hear from you about your thoughts around that topic.
Thought you were gonna ask me something about me, but I'll tell you this. When I was quite young, people
You mean last week?
When I was quite young, people always said, you're an old soul, you know. Even when I was like 4 and 5 years old, for some reason I love being around old people, you know. So I guess I'm in that category now. I'm around who I always loved being around. Now I'm one of them. But one thing I would like to say is that this topic has become very passionate of mine, more or less by accident. And I think the reason why it's by accident is because up until 2000, well, let me see, my mother passed a couple of years ago at 102 years old.
Wow.
And she stayed with me and my wife for about, well, she stayed on her own till she was 95 years old.
Wow.
And we would go and visit her. She lived in Lake Ridge in an apartment. And every day I would go and see how she was doing, you know. And she was a retired school teacher, home economics, very independent apartment. It was just like, it was very immaculate.
Yeah.
So I would go by there and she would be laying in bed. I said, "Mother, how you doing?" She said, "Oh, fine." I said, "Well, did you eat yet? You gonna eat?" She said, "I'll get up and get something soon." So that was almost like getting to be a little bit too frequently. So I surmised that she needed some assistance because she's very independent. It was up to her. She would have never moved in with us. And she did not want to go into a home. So me and my wife, we made some adjustments to the house to move her in with us. And I can tell you this, and this is something that you don't get in a book or something that you don't even get. The only way you get it is by experience. And that is, ever since I can remember, my mother was very strict, very diligent about her health. And even when I was very young, she would seem like she was always preparing to be old, you know. You know, and then in my family, we tend to have, you know, sort of older people that, well, you can't burn the candle on both ends, you know, you gotta look out for your retirement years and can't spend all your money. You know, everything was in the future, you know, can't have all the problems, you can't have a lot of fun today because you gotta worry about later on. So I kind of grew up in being kind of on the conservative side, and my mother used to always say, she said, "Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst." So she was always prepared for the worst. And so I would just say this, in terms of longevity, that's something that I think we need to start inculcating in our youth today, because I don't know how they're going to make it, tell you the truth. When I see how expensive things are today, and I just think fast forward for maybe 20 years from now, what it's going to be like even now. So I think our educational system needs to be revamped. We need to talk to young people more about being independent in terms of looking after their later years, because I guess they never feel they're going to get there. They probably feel old. That's other people get old. I'm not going to get old. You know, maybe that's what they think, but it will happen if you're lucky. My granddad used to always say, "If you want to beat the system, live." You know, so that's how you have to do it. So I think longevity is something we have to start talking to our young people about earlier. The next thing is keeping occupied. My mother, like I said, she lived to 102, but she wasn't the most social person because I guess being alone for a long time, she was, just used to being by herself. But I think that my recommendation for people as they get older is to stay engaged. And you don't have to do everything for money. Just be engaged and think about other people, because if you just think about your own woes and everything, you're probably going to stay frustrated. But if you think about other people who are maybe in worse shape than you are, and what can you do to help them, I think that would be very helpful. And I'll say this: you ran off a list of activities, but tell you the truth, I got more enjoyment out of being involved in volunteer activities than I did when I was quote unquote working in the government. So being engaged and staying involved and trying to see what you can do to help people, that's a blessing, and it also helps the psyche, helps your personal psyche. It makes you, because some people as they get older, they get kind of depressed. I don't know if they're thinking about what's going to happen, what the inevitable. But if you're doing things to help other people, you won't think of that. So that's something I'd say: stay engaged. And the next thing is education. And I touched on that earlier, but I cannot emphasize education more and more, because I just don't think that our school system today is preparing. These are life skills. Doesn't have anything to do with math and English and things like that. These are just things you need to learn to do for yourself. Now, you mentioned me being in the military. Some of us in the military, we're talking about advocating what they call public service for youth. Getting them, they no longer have the draft, and a lot of the young people who were drafted back during the time that I was young, much younger, because I was in ROTC, so during the Vietnam era. So with me, it wasn't if I got drafted, it was when I got drafted. So I decided to go in as an officer, so I took ROTC in college. But today, so there are other peers of mine who participated in ROTC, and they were kind of, some of them were kind of wayward and didn't know what they were going to do. But if you go into the military, whether people like it or not, you do get a chance to maybe find yourself, learn how to take care of yourself and do certain things in life. And I just don't see how young people do it. So I think that if we, some kind of way, even here in Prince William County, if we can come up with some kind of way of having youth more, having youth service for some of the young people, I think that would be very helpful. And lastly, I'll say this, being one of the commissioners of the Virginia Housing and Redevelopment Authority, which is the entity that manages the tax credits that developers get to develop housing at a certain rate or a certain reduced amount. They can get their mortgage, what is construction loans and things like that, at a reduced rate, and they pass that rate on to the tenants. I would like to see more for sale housing. In addition to, we have apartments that are being built, but I want to see more entry-level type homes being built for young people and retirees or empty nesters who may not want to go into a home or something like that. In Spotsylvania County, we're losing people here in Prince William to places further south because we don't have the housing inventory for what they call the missing middle. So that's something I want to try to advocate too, coming up with a way. And when you say affordable housing, people think of, it kind of conjures up certain negative things, but believe it or not, a $500,000 house, that's considered kind of affordable. It's not too affordable because of interest rates, but when interest rates are like around 3 and 4%, you can get a $500,000 mortgage, and your payments probably would be maybe $2,000 something. So, so that was considered affordable. But we need to do something about that because Prince William County is gonna lose a lot of, I would say, quality residents to elsewhere if we don't do something here. So I would like to put the brakes a little bit on these data centers and concentrate more on building neighborhoods. So does anyone have any questions or you wanna ask me? Because I'm almost an expert on taking care of an older person, but my back is just getting back in shape from having to lift her up and put her in a wheelchair and take her to the doctor, so. But, in the back?
What accommodations did you have to make to your house for your mother?
Okay, well, on the first floor, we had I guess you'd call it a den slash study, and it was down a hallway going to the garage. So what we did was, and we have a 2-car garage, so what we did was the wall in the den, that room had a closet, but that's what it had a closet in it, so it could have been a bedroom, but we use it as a den study. We bumped the garage out. We bumped into the garage. If you can imagine bumping into the garage 4 feet out of that room, we put a door there, and we made that a bathroom. And it's still a 2-car garage because you can put a smaller car can drive up into it, and then on the other side of the garage is where the larger regular sized car was. So we thought that was a good. It cost about $12,000 or something to do that. I think that was a pretty good investment. We put a bath in with a shower. It didn't have, it wasn't a bathtub. It's just a shower, so you can easily have a wheelchair to come in and do that. So.
Are there VHDA tax credit projects in Prince William?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the one that's across from here, that's a VHDA project.
The housing.
The one that's going up now, right by the credit union, that's one. And then there's a couple more that's coming up, some of them in the planning stage, but I know that one is. And I guess you all know that off the Parkway, they're clearing to do some
That's
work.
100%. All right.
What does that mean?
Dr. Jack, did you want to share more loudly what you said about the other areas for those of us in the back?
Oh, you mean
You said it was, yeah, you mentioned Prince William College.
Yeah, that's 100% affordable housing. The whole project is financed, so it's affordable for seniors. And it's reserved.
Right
for
here.
seniors.
But
Right
what
here.
does that mean?
It's the percentages of income. I'm not sure what the exact cutoff formulas
Well,
are.
what I can kind of tell you, but
Yeah,
when they say affordable, what it means is that the developer borrowed money at a lower interest rate. So by him or her, or by the developer getting money at a lower interest rate, that savings would be reflected in the rents that the landlord can charge. And you have a certain income qualifications, like you can't make X amount, like maybe 80% of the area median income or something like that. But they have a certain formula that they have that you cannot exceed, like for a family of 1 individual or 2, 4, 6. So and they call that category is affordable. Now in Virginia Housing has done quite a bit of this in Fairfax County, and some of the ones I know I went to a couple of open houses, and there's one that they built in Reston that was just magnificent. They really, when they say affordable housing, a lot of people think about, you might as well just, they think about people, being on this public assistance. They think negatively about it. But I know people who living in $700,000 and $800,000 homes when they sold it. But then, because they had the house for a long time, but when they sold the house, they had ample one, but their income was still within that affordable category, you know, so they look at your income, not necessarily your assets.
Yeah, we did civic reviews at the Lake Chautauqua and Cole Civic Association Planning, Environment, Land Use and Transportation Committee, local help. Clancy and I and the committee, we met with them several times. We had a couple of letters, but we asked for amenities, indoor and outdoor amenities, walking trails, gardens, fire pits, and all of that. And they agreed to all of those conditions, you know, libraries and all common areas, and all that was included in. So it's not something that's an austere environment where you're warehousing seniors. You're actually providing an environment that's an enriching environment for the seniors.
And one last thing, many of these, I don't like to use the word projects, but I'll say many of these complexes are campuses, what they use.
Yes.
They are mixed income, so it's not like it's 100% of that. It could be for the developer to get these amenities in terms of what they have to pay for the financing. A certain percentage of it has to be what they call affordable, not necessarily the whole complex. And that works out pretty good.
Could you explain how in Manassas, how your post got that win-win situation with the developers?
I'll make it brief, because a few years ago, well, I remember when Post 114, and the Post was established in 1945 during the era of segregation when blacks couldn't be members of the regular other posts. So 16 World War I and II veterans created, at least they started this organization. And the Post, kind of fast forward a little bit, the headquarters or the building of the Post was built probably almost back then too, maybe in the 50s. And it's located on Prince William Street between Wellington and Grant Street in Old Town by the railroad tracks. So if you go by there and look at the building, you can see it's very old. But I became commander because everyone knows Brenda Kelly Mellon, right?
Yes, Brenda.
And her husband, she would always ask me, Don, you're a veteran, why don't you join Post 114? You know, I had a look. She was just kind of like worried me to death about it.
Brenda's a past president of the Committee 100.
Oh,
Yeah, she used to worry me to death about being a member of the Post, so I wound up breaking down, you know, it's hard to say no to Brenda. So anyway, I wound up becoming a member of the Post, and the way they have it is that each year they have election of officers, so that the commander rotates at least once every year or maybe every 2 years. So I was like, and the Post was small, so in 2 or 3 years I wound up becoming the company commander. And I told him, I said, if you all don't do something, if we don't do something about this Post, I'm going to quit, because it was run down and it was something place you would be too embarrassed. At least I was embarrassed to try to get younger people to join and everything, because it was terrible. So I would sometimes be worrying about it. I said, how in the devil are we going to borrow $1 million to fix it? Because they said, well, I know somebody who can come and fix the roof, and there's all these little patchy types. And I said, the place needs to be torn down and rebuilt. So, and everyone was up, and I would say at the time I was like one of the younger ones, and I was already in my mid 60s or late 60s then. So you had people in the 80s and a couple of 90s, in that age group. So which of those are going to go to the bank and maybe even guarantee them a loan? Long story short, it didn't make sense. So I was in bed one night thinking about it. A light bulb went off my head. I said, I'm in housing. We should maybe put some housing on there. So that's where you get the money from. The money, you go where the money is. So they have monies available to create housing. And since the property need to be torn down anyway, I said that what we can do is put up some housing there and put enough on it, get enough out of what we're going to do with the houses to build a new Post. So we made an agreement with People Inc. that we are going to joint venture with them. We're leasing, we're going to tear all the, demolish what's there now. We're going to give them a 99-year lease. We'll have a building there that the Post will occupy along with People Inc. and they can use that as their Northern Virginia outlet, because they're located down in Abington, which is almost near Tennessee, right, keep straight on 81, so that's quite, south side, that's quite a ways from up here. And they wanted to get a foothold in Northern Virginia to do some work. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get, and I sent Jack you have a remnant of what we're gonna do.
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
And I can send it to other people they wanna do, but I think that was a good
Smart idea.
thing. We're about
Win-win
6,
situation.
yeah, and it's, we've been at it for about 6 years, and I'll tell you one thing. I hate to say this, but to do anything, you just have to be very persistent.
Yes.
You can't let things, they're gonna do it, you gotta be the one to do it, and if they call you a pain in the, you know what, then you gotta be a pain.
That's a
in the-
compliment.
Huh?
That's a compliment.
I won't tell you how I got my assignment in Vietnam, but I'll tell you about it. I had to write a letter to General William Westmoreland. to get that.
There you go.
You know who he was, right?
Yeah, I do. He's an idiot.
You know who he was.
Thank you, Don. And so we appreciate Don's point of view and encouragement on how we can work through longevity and retirement. And so it's always nice to hear from a clinician when we talk about retirement and how to stay
I have another
healthy.
meeting I have to go to, so I'll get even
And
with
so
you.
I'm going to ask Charlene to come to the podium and share with us her point of view on our topic today and what she's seeing out in her industry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlene.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Louder.
Louder?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay now?
No, you're amongst friends. You're going to have to pipe it up a little bit.
Can everyone hear me now?
There we go.
So, I am Charlene Beckett, like was explained that I am a nurse in the community. I've seen a lot in my lifetime as a nurse as well. My grandmother lived to be 103 years old, and we have a lot of longevity in our life, our family. Her daughter is 100, going to be 101, lives down the road from me in April. My dad, her son, is going to be 90. So I just tell my children, get ready, because I'm going to be 100 at least, okay? So, I think also just reflecting on that, because our roots affect who we are and who we become and what we've watched in our own families, right? So my aunt took care of my grandmother in Harrisonburg, Virginia. My grandmother was never in an assisted living. I give God the glory for that. She went on an Alaskan cruise at 100. So, she was quite a character. My aunt is still in her home and being taken care of by her family. So it would only be kind of appropriate, as I am in my nursing am passionate about helping families to keep their loved ones in their homes, right? Life is full of choices, though, and there are some people that choose not to be in their homes, and that's okay too. But for those that do choose and have the desire of their heart to stay in their home as long as possible, to be cared for by their family, or bring in extra support. That sometimes is necessary. So when I think about working with visiting angels, you know, what I see is there's a lot of creativity that has to take place within families, you know. So when I, you know, have somebody that calls, I'm really excited because I think our agency, I'm the first person they speak to as a nurse. I think that's got to be, I hope that that's comforting, that they're not just talking to somebody, right? Just somebody answering the phone. So I introduce myself and that I'm a nurse and I've been a nurse in the community to hopefully give them some confidence, because most people, when they make those first phone calls, life is confusing. Sometimes they're in crisis, you know, something has happened. And what do you think the most significant thing that can happen that can change the trajectory of someone's life? What do you think that is? Exactly, a fall. But yet there are so many things we can do to prevent that, those falls. So that's something that, you know, we as an agency, we actually go out and do some teaching on fall prevention. We have one of our brochures is on fall prevention. So when I take those calls, a lot of times it is somebody, the family is already in crisis of some sort. So, you know, think about yourself when you're in crisis. We're not thinking clearly, right? We are confused and there's so many choices. So personally, I think as a nurse in the community, my goal is to help people to kind of pause, help them start to prioritize, sort. You know, having our service is not always the best thing in this scenario. Sometimes I'm literally making other referrals. But I'm also, as a nurse, making sure that they've tapped into all of the resources in the community. Because I'm a nurse that's been in the community for over 46 years, and I get to network with so many people that are in other healthcare services. We help support each other. And so we want to make sure that they know different resources, different ways to solve a problem. I was talking to a family this week that their mom, and a lot of times it is, I like what was said, the young people are sometimes in these situations. Recently I have two very young sisters, well actually I've got 3 cases of 2 young sisters. They're calling. They really aren't sure what to do, what their options are, how, you know, what choices to make. And they're also, you know, the senior that their loved one is not always in the place to make their own decisions any longer, right? So that's a little challenging with dynamics. Or maybe there's memory issues and things like that. So there's so many components. So when they call, I think reaching a healthcare professional, our role is to help people sort things out, to kind of sort of separate the choices, help them to problem solve. So like, I had a daughter call this week, and you know, she's looking at potential in-home care for her mom, and she lives in a 2-bedroom apartment in Woodbridge. One lives in New Broad Run, one lives in Centerville, so there's distance, and they've got their own families they're trying to juggle. So, you know, and there's affordability, like that was already said, you know. What is the affordability of our service? What can we do? And So like I was saying, to her, does she wonder? Does she, are you concerned with her safety at night? Does she try to get out? So, you know, technology comes in. So you can use a Ring doorbell, can actually become a camera in the home. I don't know whether you know, so that she didn't even think about that. So that can actually become a security camera for them at a distance to monitor their mom's safety at night. So then that eliminates the need for a caregiver at night, potentially, you know, early in. They have automatic electronic door locks. So, you know, you can lock a door from your cell phone, and they can have a, you know, something to make sure she's secure in her home. But maybe she needs that socialization and priority that we talked about during the day. So I do think that, like, when COVID hit, we saw so many people, their decline was accelerated because of the isolation. Isolation is really paralyzing. And then when we came out of COVID, they had isolated so long that they didn't know how to get back, right, to what was. So we try to help with, particularly, you know, if you have a caregiver that comes into the home, they can take them to the senior center, accompanying them to doctor's appointments. We have seen so many lives changed with a caregiver going in and having human contact for 4 hours a day, you know, with some good quality human contact. When a nurse goes in and does a care plan that is specific to that individual, you know, and when I do that, so I take the call, I talk to people, and maybe they come to a decision, they do want some help. That's another thing, is you know, asking for help is so hard, even for the senior, you know, to be willing to accept help. Because I don't know about you all, but I do remember with my family, I talked to my father-in-law one time and I said, you know, how old do you feel? And he said, I feel like I'm in my 50s or 60s. And he was 80. So you think about it yourself. Do we feel like we're as old as we do? So as we age, we still don't feel that. So there's a little just difficulty. So I'll explain something that I did. You know, it's these gentle, kind, respectful, loving conversations. I get called, families will tell me, oh, I don't know how whether they're gonna agree. They're really a tough cookie, you know. I don't know how, you know. And I'm not there to be pushy. I always tell them, I'm not gonna be pushy. I'm just gonna come in and introduce myself and talk to them. And they will say, and so I will come in, but it's not what we say, it's how we say it, right? And so when you go in and you look around a room and you see awards on the wall for service, you see pictures of family, and you connect with the people that you're in the living room with or kitchen with. If you connect with them, that is a powerful experience, and that opens the door to trust. And so what I would say is, so I, again, you know, I have many experiences in my nursing. But my pastor, his mom, now he's well educated, she's well educated, she lives in a over 55 community, has neighbors, social life, has one of the little buttons that if she falls, she can hit it, right? She fell in her bathroom and she laid on the floor for 24 hours.
No.
With the button right there. So, yeah, okay, so hang on to that story. So what does the family's like, why didn't you hit the button? Right? Even my pastor, frustrated with his mom because she didn't hit the button. So I said to her, I know why you didn't hit the button. You didn't want to be a burden to anybody, did you? She said, that's exactly right. So you know how I turned that around? I said, Miss Jackie, you have been a blessing to so many people in your life over the years. Do you know if you hit that button, you're going to allow somebody else to be a blessing to you, and it's somebody else's turn to be a blessing. So we're going to call this the blessing button, and you're going to have this on, and guess what we did? These are things I just come up with naturally, okay? We did fall drills. Kids in school, they have fire drills, they have shooting drills. Our elderly, we did a fall drill once a month. We called the button people, okay? And we said, we're gonna do a little fall drill, so we're gonna test this out. I laid her on the floor, wanted her to experience what that felt like, and I said, go ahead and push the button. And I just let them talk. And she said, yes, this is Jackie. Yes, I'm laying on the floor. I've fallen. And so she had that experience. So she wasn't afraid to hit that button, right? That's what we do with our kids in these fire drills, getting underneath desks and things like that. What do we, there's just little things like that we can do with our seniors that keep them safe in their homes. Those buttons, rather than just put it around their neck, have a conversation about it. Have conversations about how you love and respect them and you want them to be able to honor their wishes as long as you can. We are very passionate at Visiting Angels about helping our veterans. We are passionate because we know they served our country, they protected us. We actually have some links that we can help them to hopefully get some free care. But, I always say, I get a little teary-eyed every now and then because I'm just so passionate about what I do. I want to make a difference in people's lives. The good old golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I always say the honeymoon's not over for me as a nurse. I feel like, just like I said, how old do we feel? I feel like I'm 20 years old starting my career, sometimes when I get up in the morning. When I'm doing educational things like tonight, I'm just hoping that everybody hears something that they can take away and that they can use and that they can help and they can share with a neighbor. But I want to be that person when that phone call comes in, that I can talk somebody through something. It may not be our service that's the best choice for them. But I want to help them problem solve. I actually got a couple Google reviews from people that we did not serve them, but they were so grateful for how I was able to talk to them and guide them and help them that they were appreciative of that. I just had a lady call this past weekend. I know I'm running out of time probably, but I just had a lady. I love stories. Stories are just, and that's what we do. We have to listen to our senior stories. But I love stories. But this lady called. She wanted to know a little bit about our service, and she said, my mom was okay yesterday, but I think she's got dementia today. I'm going, huh? So I said, ma'am, so tell me exactly what happened. So she said she was perfectly fine yesterday. She said, but she called me and said, I'm really confused. I said, okay. I said, where does she live? She lived out of our service area. That wasn't the point of the thing, but I said, I would suggest people don't get dementia suddenly. I said, she probably potentially has a UTI, a urinary tract infection. I said, you need to take her to the nearest urgent care, get a urine test, and see if that's the situation, because she can go septic very quickly. She said, thank you so much, I'm gonna hang up and do that. And so she did. She messaged me back, she said, thank you so much, she had a UTI. And I just planted the seed that if she ever moved her to her area where we serve, we'd help her. But she would, you know, that's what we're about, is helping people. You know, that was just a random call, right? And so anyway, I hope that you have heard something tonight, but I think those that want to stay in their homes, there's always a way to help to make that work. You know, I'm passionate about honoring wishes and wanting to do that. It's not always what we can do, but we will always do our very best to help people accomplish that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colleen. Well, we want to take a few moments. We're going to call this a dessert break. If you would like to just take a breather. And then after that, we're going to ask Retta and Brenda to share with us. So let's take 5 minutes and then we'll resume. Thank you.
If anyone needs a restroom, it's on the door to the right. The food is going to be taken away soon. If you like dessert, please go ahead and help yourself. We also have lunches here. Tea, lemonade, and water.
And then we try to figure out how to get out. What's the best way to get out? If you fall or something or in the yard, so you just want to see how we show. Before we would do that.
Are you all
We're done.
perfect, man?
How was it? It was really good.
May I? Sure. Thank you so much. You're awesome.
I don't know whether he's finished.
Last week, but I got I've fallen in my
I have some reports I need to get
I fell in my heart. She wasn't, and I ran myself. And I actually fell back. But I thought about it, and I didn't know how to get up. So it's not trivial.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No, but she was on the floor.
And I just thought of that because they have the next best
She was in.
A little bit, a little bit chicken, and a little bit potato. Some do you like? They have to have yeah. I don't The thing is they do percentages and averages. I know, but confused about it. I agree. There's nobody here from the talk about county, like I mentioned to my parents in the school. Taxes they wasn't their age. It should be something I'm concerned about. Yeah, I mean, it's becoming poor and one or the other. Yeah, it's losing the middle. I think the last two are a combo. Rita and Brenda. So, One's an executive director, the other one is an advisor. So. It's another word. Yeah, well, the thing is, it's probably. It's a niche topic. You have a need, otherwise you're not going to. It's kind of like getting those timeshare things. Cynthia's already made it. They didn't have transitional housing. No, it's just made. Assisted living. Here's an assisted living right there on 29, and as you turn left on to East Coast, on the right hand side, got their sheep in the yard. Not sheep, but they're models that look like sheep. I need to get a little more consistency. That is an assisted living. Oh, it's a nominal size.
Good evening, everyone. We're pulling ourselves back together from our break.
Yeah. I think you would. I was done. You can only
Okay, good evening, everyone. We're going to get our program restarted, and so that we can commence and move forward with our topics. We again want to thank Don and Charlene for sharing such impactful stories and providing such great advice to us as we start to talk about our retirement. And so we have two more speakers before we start the official question and answer segment of our program. And so I'm going to ask Ms. Brenda to join me here at the podium. And remind you again that Brenda is joining us from the Department of Health and Human Services.
Yes,
Social Services. Social Services, thank you for that correction. And so she is going to share with us and talk with us about some things that she has been seeing and give us some advice and heed us on what we should be looking forward to. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm not a fan of the microphone. I like to talk with my hands. So everyone can hear me just fine? Yes. Okay. Well, my name is Brenda Allen Patton. I'm with Prince William County Department of Social Services, and I am the APS Program Manager. And I also have Lolly Goodmo with me, and she is one of our case managers, and Salma Hattie, who's also a case manager with the department. And let me not say AAA, we're not talking about the car, we're talking about area of agency. We have Rosalind here with us too. And I was sitting there thinking, what are we going to talk about? So I know a lot of people say, what is APS? APS, we investigate reports of abuse and neglect. Say that again. Adult Protective Services, we investigate reports about abuse and neglect. And I know we're talking about things to, you know, and help us age in place and things of that nature. And I just want you to know, even though we investigate adults that have been abused or neglected, I wanted to say we also connect people with resources. And the reason I'm saying that is because you can always call if you have questions. But one thing I wanted to say is that we get about, I want to say about 40 of reports a month. And in our last 20 reports, at least 50% of them were financial exploitation. And a lot of people say, well, that's a lot. You're right, it's a lot. In the past, it used to be self-neglect was our top one, but I will tell you that adults are being scammed by smartphones, by computers, by telephone calls saying, I'm the IRS, you owe taxes, you're going to go to jail. Ignore all those calls, block them, do whatever you can do, change your number if you need to. And the reason I'm saying that is because we have seen adults lose their homes. We have seen bank accounts down to zero. We're not talking about people who don't have, it doesn't matter your economic status or anything. We have seen people who have no money to lose to people who have tons of money to lose. Scammers do not care. They do not care at all. They are looking to see how much money they can get from you. If it's $50 to $50,000, they don't care. And the reason I'm saying that is Selma in particular had a case, a woman was losing millions of dollars. But the thing is, she had dementia. And she couldn't remember that she had money. And we got the report because it was abuse or neglect, because she wasn't taking care of herself, because she didn't know that she had the resources to get someone in the home to help her. But Selma worked diligently and worked alongside with the attorneys to make sure that this client is now at a home and has the assets and resources that all her assets and resources are going to go towards her care. So she's going to live her life and comfortably. And the reason I'm saying that is because sometimes things look legit, but look at it carefully. Scammers misspell things. We had a worker who got scammed, and she works for Adult Protective Services. They said that they were Prince William Sheriff's Office, and she missed a court date. And you know we do go to court, and she could have missed a court date. And that she needed to pay, because she was going to be arrested, she needed to pay bail and go to Walmart to do it. Who would go to Walmart to pay bail? Do you see what I'm saying? So they will do anything, but she had me on speakerphone. I heard it. It sounded just like an officer. You can hear the static from calls coming in. He knew exactly what to say. He even emailed her a subpoena. But guess what in that subpoena? Prince William was spelled with an S. I don't think Prince William has an S in it. So just be careful. Look at the things. If it's too true, if it sounds too good to be true, don't do it. Always ask, and I will tell you, law enforcement, there's a non-emergency number, call. Say, look, I got this, and they normally will say, if there's a scam going on in Prince William County, do not give them any information. One thing I wanted to point out is that we have mandated services. That's why we investigate reports of abuse or neglect involving our seniors. But also we have services that are open to everyone, but such as our long-term support and supporting services, which we work alongside with the health department nurses. We go out to homes, we screen individuals to see if they qualify for services in the home or to go to a nursing home. It is, there's a second part of that, you have to qualify for Medicaid, but again, we do services outside of just investigating abuse or neglect. And we also have a home-based companion program, and if there is a report of abuse or neglect, we are able to not look at income, and that person can still get that service. But a person could call and ask for home-based care, but we have to evaluate their income. And the reason I'm telling you that is because when we come to people's homes, not everybody wants adult protective services in their home. But our goal is to keep you in your home as long as possible, or connect you with the resources that can be in your home to keep you safe. That's, go ahead.
What if you find out somebody opened up a credit card in your mother's name or something?
Call us.
Call y'all.
Call and make it a report, and call our intake number. We have cards out there that has that number on there, and make a report. And we work alongside law enforcement, and the reason I want you to know that, we don't just go, we work beside law enforcement and try. We might not be able to find it because our scammers use fake names. They don't tell us, you know, this is Brenda Allen Patton. They use fake names. However, we can help them, advocate for them, help them call the bank together to cancel those accounts. There's things that we can do to help advocate and help that person, ensuring that the accounts are closed and things of that nature.
What about those services you hear on TV that monitors people's checking accounts or people's accounts? Are they useful?
So this is what I will say is, if it's a legit business, maybe, but I would also look it up and online or get more information before I sign up and get some of my personal information. And the reason I'm saying that is because things look legit, and you sign up and give them your personal information, and then you get an email asking for more information, and then you go down that bunny hole, and then what you thought was legit, now all your information is out there. Yeah. Personally, I have something that monitors my credit, and that's because there's a Brenda Allen in New York. She is not related to me. She bought a car, but somehow all her information is connected. So I do monitor my stuff. However, I will tell you that I have kids, and they say, Mommy, can I use your card to buy a game on their tablet? And I say, oh yeah. And then I'm sitting there thinking, maybe that wasn't the best thing I should have done. Maybe I should get them on one of those Visa debit cards that put $20 on it. So just be mindful about how you use your credit card online. Be mindful about the people that call. And if you ever get a call from your bank, tell them, you know what, I'll call you back. Get the number you know, for your bank and call them directly. Because your bank is only gonna call you if there's something going on, but they would never ask you personal identifying information. You should call that bank to give them that information, the number that you know. The reason I'm saying that because like caller ID will say Wells Fargo. It's not Wells Fargo. And you think it's your bank telling you, oh, your account's being hacked. I need the last 4 digits of your account. Why would you need it? You're the bank. You already have it. So just be very mindful about giving your information out. Any more questions or?
Do you work with the sheriff's department in providing those little LoJack devices for people that have dementia? It's kind of like those Apple tags.
No, but however, we do work with law enforcement for people that like Project Lifesaver, things of that nature. We do advocate and help families connect with those to get them, because we do serve adults 60 years and up. Sometimes we do get cases that adults are 18 to 59 who are incapacitated, who have maybe autism and wander off and things of that nature. So we do connect them with Project Lifesaver, give them the information with the Sheriff's Department to get those resources. We link them, but we're not like the person in between to get it. Any questions?
Good info.
Should we just call your office?
You can call our office, and this is what I will say. Our intake team is wonderful, just like Salma and Lolly, they're wonderful. If we do not know the answer, we will give you the person who does have that answer.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you. And our last panelist for this evening is Ms. Freda Young. And she is going to definitely talk with us about what she's seeing in the industry as she's helping our older adults make decisions. So Retta, if I can ask you to join us here at the podium to share with us.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Hi there.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need any help with that, or you know?
Vincent helped me earlier. Hopefully it will work. So I'm a visual, everyone, so bear with me for a moment.
You said just touch it?
I don't know.
Is there a remote?
Yeah, there's a few like that. Yeah. Hold on that side, maybe.
I'll find.
Magic. Good job.
Oh, there it is. Here we go. Those are other duties as assigned as an executive director.
Does that work?
Should pop back up.
Bam, there you go. Okay, so, give me a minute. I apologize, everyone. I am a cancer survivor. I had cancer in my vocal cords. So, I had radiation treatment for a very long time, and I lost. Is it on?
It's not.
There we are. Awesome. And I lost my voice. I used to sing in the choir, and now I just hum. You know, back and forth. So I do apologize. If you can't hear me or if my voice goes down, do like this. And that'll let me know I need to raise my voice. But every now and then I stop, get a little cup of water because my voice gets dry. So, hello everyone, my name is Retta Young. I'm a senior living advisor. I'm the owner of Assisted Living Locators. And you already heard my bio, how I got involved with all of this.
Your PowerPoint? Do you want me to drive your PowerPoint?
No, I'll
Okay.
Okay. And so I was listening to everyone speak, and I said to myself, Retta, you've been around way too long. because I can identify with everything that they were talking about. I've been doing this for 2 years, but prior to that, just like the gentleman in the back, I have always loved working with seniors, even as a young person. I felt like they know what they want, they mean what they say, and they just interesting people to talk to. And every time I went into a new job, I always sought out those who were about to retire because they always gave me golden nuggets to live by. And it helped me through my career. So I'm so grateful and thankful. And now I'm a senior. I am 57 years old, and I'll be 58 this year. Yeah, honey, I got my AARP card. Who said that? I have my AARP card, and I am proud to get my discounts. So I'm a visual person. So we're going to go over that quickly. However, we're here to talk about aging in place. And one thing that I noticed when it came to seniors, I have quite a few clients that I work with, and one of them, her name's Miss Susan. She is an amazing lady, and thank you, sweetheart. She's an amazing lady, and she lives at home. She does not have any children. She used to work as an editor for a newspaper out in Richmond, Virginia. And so we were talking, I was doing an assessment because she was thinking about moving to a senior living community, and we were noticing that she was forgetting some things. And I said, well, how do you remember to take your medication? She said, Alexa.
She said what?
She said, Alexa. And I said, who's Alexa? And she said, Alexa. You know, the little device that you put in your house. Alexa, we have to learn how to embrace this new technology. And I'm going to show you how we can cheat and embrace it. You don't have to install this stuff yourself. So Alexa reminds her when to take her medication. Alexa also can help you if you fall and you need to call out for an ambulance or a family member. You just call out to Alexa in your home. That is one of the #1 devices that we sleep on, and honestly, if you are over 65, you should have an Alexa installed in your home. However, if you're not technically inclined like I'm not, and if you don't have an older son like I do, then I would recommend, there's 2 ways you can do it. There are companies now who cater directly just to seniors to come in and install devices for you, update your computers, clean them out, because you know they've got a lot of stuff in the cache. They also can help you with your phones, all those devices. However, if you want to do it free, I'm going to give you a little inside secret. Contact your local high school. Ask them, do they have an information club? IT information club. I don't know what y'all call it. Y'all young ones back there, you know what I'm talking about. Look at their heads. Contact them. The principal will love you because they have to get hours for graduation. And those clubs, they will bring the young people in or get your devices and update them or install them for you. Or if you want to get real technical, you can contact the universities as well. You know, they might be a little bit more rushy, but the young people love this. Also, the gentleman was talking about having young people get more involved with seniors. Actually, that's happening now. A lot of the Chamber of Commerce, like Prince William Chamber of Commerce, they have started a senior resource committee. And part of that is connecting with the education committee. And the education committee is working with high schools to start a flagship of seniors coming out working with seniors, helping them with technology, new information, and at the same time, you're imparting information to them, helping them. Our information is just walking out the door. And the children need to capture all of that. It's an injustice that they don't learn from you. So it's so important. Get with your chamber. A lot of them are now starting senior committees to address this, and I'm going to show you why. Another thing I wanted to address was regarding socializing. How many of you, by a show of hands, are members of your local senior center? Oh my goodness. What is going on here? Your senior centers are the place to be. I have done a video. I was up in Ashburn Senior Center. And I kid you not, that place is so nice. They have Tai Chi, they have Tango, they have game room, they take day trips. I took a trip with them out to Pennsylvania to see the church, Daniel. Sight and Sound. I've been wanting to go for over 20 years. Isn't that sad? I finally got to go at 57. I've been wanting to go for 20 years, and I finally got to go on a bus with seniors. We all, and I got a discount too for that, just so you know. And I loved it. But and they host these trips. Some of the senior centers have gyms inside of them. Socializing is the number one thing that seniors need. Just like they said, during COVID, it was rapid decline. It is so important that you continue to socialize and to be a part of things. And get this, if you can't make it all the time to the senior center can now come to you. Yes, if you have an iPad or a cell phone, they now have classes that you can log into at the senior center and be a part of, even at home. So you can't say you can't be a part. And the membership is $35 for the year. Bus transportation is one way is $1. So you can't tell me you can't. You might have to get a group together and raise some money or something. But they should be packed. And I know the ones in Ashburn is packed, the ones out in Kingstown is packed, Wharton Community is packed. We do need to work on Prince William. Yeah, it's a little tiny place. But
the one in Manassas is a little larger than the one in Woodbridge.
Right. Okay. I haven't been to that one.
The Manassas one is there behind the courthouse, and it's easier to get into than the one in Woodbridge.
Oh, right. They need to work on that one, but they have a lot there. What I noticed, because I'm nosy Susan, they have a binder. They have a binder that you can go into, and it shows you. They have a Medicare representative comes in every week. You can make an appointment and sit down. You don't have to contact social services or call the 800 number. You can talk directly to them right there. Doctors come in there and do presentation. There is so much happening at your local senior center. And for $35 a year, that's a good deal. It is.
Also tax time, they've got tax.
Free tax preparation. All kinds of things are happening at your senior center. So socialization is key. And I've seen them go out to breakfast, and it's like 40, 50 members all together at that Watch Time restaurant. First Watch?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been there one time. Okay, so I wanted to bring that up to you. Missing in the middle, that is a very important statement to make, sir, because I'm an advocate for seniors, and there's more seniors who cannot afford a place like this than there are who can. And because of that, I keep talking to our elected officials about the seniors who are falling in the cracks. These are people who work all their lives as librarians, as bus drivers, as construction workers, cafeteria workers, but they contributed, they paid their taxes, they paid their mortgages, they took care of their kids, and now no one's taking care of them. And it's not right. And the resources that we have, I hate to even say this, they don't qualify for it because they make too much money. I don't want to sound like I'm not going to get on it tonight, but it's not right. And we need to hold our elected officials accountable. We need to start talking to them more and advocating. When I hear them say we want to cut Social Security, we want to cut Medicare, I'm like, okay, you must don't know someone over 65. Okay, I'm thankful for those who can afford communities like this, but they're in trouble. Okay, so let me show you something. The Silver Surge, addressing the housing needs of an aging population. Does that work? Nope, that didn't work. Hold on. Okay, there you go. In 2012, we had 13.7% of the population that was made up of seniors over 65. That number Oh, did I do this wrong? Yep, I sure did. Hold on. What am I doing wrong? Why is it not? Okay, that number, oh, I gotta hit the return button, gotcha. That number was 43.1 million seniors, right? That was in 2012. Then in 2019, this is all through the U.S. Census Bureau, these are not made up numbers. In 2019, we had 16% of the population was made up of seniors over the age of 65. That number turned out to be 54.1 million seniors. In 2022, our percentage at the U.S. Census Bureau is 17.3% of the population that are over 65. Now, my number majors, Dr. Jack, other than Dr. Jack, what number do you think that is? Estimated. And you get a treat. 57.8 million. 2030. That is a very important number to know. She knows, Vincent knows, this building knows. Investors know. Investors have known for years, and that's why you see the building next door. That's why you see all these planning committees and buildings coming up and the tax breaks and all that stuff. Learn your key words. Affordable housing is code for investors. And investors equate money. They're not investing unless they're going to get something out of it. It's nice with tax breaks, it's great. They take pictures and do the shovel, the golden shovel, and, you know, break ground and all that stuff. But their rent next door starts at $1,665. River Run around the corner is under $1,000. That's low income housing. That's affordable housing. Know the difference. Okay? They still both get tax breaks, but know the difference. Okay? So then, 2030, I guess I hit the button too many times. I don't know what's going on here. But 2030, our population will be estimated to be 24.1%, which is 65 and over. They estimate that to be between 71.6 to 88 million seniors by 2030. That is 1 in 5 people will be made of seniors. It's already here. Okay? I see it all the time. I'm in the communities, I tour them. I take my clients who are seniors through these halls. I have a client, actually, I walk her down the hall to her room. People know this. Let me see. Have you heard this word? Have you heard the statement? The silver tsunami? And it says it's coming. I was actually going to do a strike through and say it's here.
I was going to say it's here.
It's here. It's here. When you go to communities and they say this one here is almost at full capacity, they have, I think, three apartments left out of 120 rooms. Okay? Full capacity. Right in the room right now, Westminster, full capacity. Okay? And that's a campus. I call CCRCs, I call them campuses, college campuses. You got your freshmen, your sophomores, your juniors, your seniors. That's the best way to break it down. I used to have to explain things to my son. He said, well, what do you do for the government, Mom? I shop for the government. That's the best way to explain things to people who are not familiar with this. A CCRC, you have your independent living, which is the nice little pretty houses. Then you have your independent, you have your assistant, you have your memory care, and then you have your nursing care. Yeah. Okay? And so I call it the college campus. And there's quite a few of them. But I always say, if you hear the word Westminster in front of it, be prepared. Be prepared. If you hear the word, there's quite a few Westminsters.
Yes.
Out in Charlotte, Shenandoah, whatever. I always say when you hear the word Westminster, be prepared. Okay, they are beautiful, but they normally CCRCs out. And what's so interesting, None of them are related. I thought they were related. None of them are related.
No, we all bought out of the Presbyterian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
I mean, that's the roots, but yeah.
Started.
I don't want to give up too much secrets. That's not my business. But so the tsunami is coming, right? That's what we said. What do you think the tsunami is going to affect? Oh, I got a hand up in the back.
I was just gonna ask, so, you know, we have all these seniors moving into the communities, but the seniors live a long time sometimes now. So are we going to have an effect where they outlive their money?
So that's a very good question. What I normally do, and even though I did the calculation with my client, for instance, the latest one, her mom needs to be in memory care. Memory care is not cheap. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all.
What's the average?
On average, it depends on the location.
Like this one?
It depends on the location. And I don't want to throw out numbers. Vincent is here. He could talk to you about that better. But I always tell people, say for instance, assisted living, a community assisted living is $6,500. I always tell them add on an additional $2,000 for memory care.
Yeah, I was gonna say the range depending on the size of community, if you don't mind me adding value here. Depending on the size of community, the range can, and your level of care, because there's also levels of care within the memory care component of the neighborhoods, range anywhere from 8,500 to 14,000, depending. And so if you think about those levels, so it is not, it is a costly endeavor.
Yes, it's 24 hour. It's 24-hour care. It is a locked environment where they have a lot of eyes on them to make sure they're not wandering away. They get a lot of socialization and workshops and events to keep them active and also to help them sustain and not progress so much into the dementia and going further stages. A great example, an organization that I really enjoyed is Silverado. How many of you have ever heard of them? They're like on the new level of experimentation. I don't want to say experimenting on you, but new types of technology to help with seniors with memory care issues, Parkinson's, dementia. Is there another one I'm missing?
That's it.
Yeah, and they're just, but you're talking $15,000 to $18,000 a month.
Yeah.
And I can quote that number. Okay. Not a lot of people can afford that. But I have to say I was so impressed with their technology that they use, and the doctors that come in, they are top notch. Not to knock any of these other organizations. They are doing a great job too. But those doctors, Pulitzer Prizers, come up in there, doing some interesting things. But I feel like it's more, because I haven't seen any other center or community like that. Okay, but I will say that on average for memory care, it depends on the location, depends on the type of care, this level. You have some people who come in at dementia at stage 4, stage 5, it really depends. And what they'll do is they will have a nurse come out and do an assessment to determine what level that they are at. And so now I will say, I like communities where everything's all inclusive. That means your base rent includes the level of care. But there are communities that I also like that they don't have the all of it in one flat rate. They have the level of care because there is a lot more included, like if you have diabetes, they have separated that cost out now to for administering shots, because you do need a nurse or a doctor to do that. And so incontinence, that's another thing, that's a separate price. If you have a pet, of course that's a separate price. But medication management is a huge thing. I remember when I first took my very first tour of a community, I was shocked when I learned that some seniors are taking upwards of 28 pills in a day. And I said, there's no way they're eating. So medication management is very important because you gotta take it one in the morning, one before you eat, one before you go to bed, another one when the sun rises on this day, take one on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Medication management, someone has to manage that and make sure you're taking them. Also, they monitor you when you're eating, to make sure you're eating your food, or if you stop eating, they want to monitor that as well. That's all done in your memory care area. They monitor that very closely and document it. Okay, assisted living, people get assisted living mixed up with nursing home. Everyone automatically think it's a nursing home. Let me be the first to tell you, it is not a nursing home. This is assisted living. All inclusive. You get your meals, you get activities, you have a salon, you have, well, some of them have pools. They really want to get fancy. Some of them have wine cellars. You know which one I'm talking about. So, okay, I mean, if you haven't taken a tour of their community, you need to take a tour to see their library is my favorite. That library, every time I walk in there, I'm just like, and get this, the seniors donated all the books in their library. So I find it very relaxing, very warm, but people automatically think it's the end of life when you start talking about senior living. It is not. It's a new chapter in your life. It's a new chapter, new opportunities. You don't have to mow the lawn. You don't have to go in. Let me tell you something. My son moved out. Thank you, Jesus. My son moved out, and I live in a single house, single family house, 2-story. And I was up on the top floor because the bulb had blown in the hallway. And I got a stool, and I stood up on the stool, and it's just me and Oscar de la Renta. And that's my Yorkie. And he's standing there looking up at me like, I gotta see this. How are we gonna explain? I can't call. So let's see how this works. And I'm standing on the stool, and I went to reach my hand, and I looked down, and I'm noticing the rail, and I said to myself, now if you fall, who's going to hear you? Remember the tree that falls in the forest? I'm thinking to myself, well, if you fall on that first floor from the second, who's going to know you're here? Who's going to know to come get you? And I got down off the stool. I said, oh, I don't think this is a good idea. I'll just wait till my son comes home from, vacation and ask him to change the bulb or get someone to do it. But I started thinking about, as a solo senior, what are some things I need to do? If you haven't had an opportunity, you heard about Raising Claire. Mm-hmm. That is an excellent program. It talks about falling, seniors falling. And this one in particular, it's a workshop, okay? And they show you some videos, but what I like the most is the fact that they had the fire department there. And you can do this. You can call the fire department, you can call the fire department to come to your home to do an inspection and look and see if there are things that can cause you to hurt yourselves, like slipping, your carpet may be an area where you're tripping at, or hurt yourself, or hit your hip, or some mats may be too slippery in the bathroom. These are key things that you may not have noticed, and you always had that mat there, you always had that rug, or you had a step, which I used to have when I was in college. There was a thing you had to remember to step your foot up on these, going up into the house, because for some reason the contractor apparently did not make the steps level enough. So there was one step, if you was drunk that night, you was definitely falling. And so, but if you wasn't, you knew to lift your leg up a little bit. Those things happen in your home. They're cute little things that you always ignored, and like, I'll get a contractor one day. Well, now you're older and you're falling, So it's good to have Alexa in your house. It's good to call in the fire department, have them come do an assessment of your home to determine if you have some slip issues, and you can fix those quickly and easily. Also, there's some nonprofit organizations that can come in and do some repairs, especially now with the winter here. Some of them can, I don't want to quote the water heater, but I remember he said something about working on the roof And my number one thing I wanted them to come in and do is install those rails next to the bathroom, stall, and in the shower. I want those. And to see if they can install the seat, the flat seat. So, just so you know, these are all the things that will be impacted by 2030, if not already. And the number one thing I'm always concerned about is housing. By 2030, we will still not have enough housing to accommodate all the seniors who are retiring. I don't care if you have money or not. We will not have enough housing. They have already made it clear. We will be short over 15,000? I want to say 15,000 units of senior housing. So it's important that we work hard to advocate to our elected officials about this and let them know. And if you have any more questions, here's my QR code. You're welcome to scan it. I send out monthly newsletters. I also do videos of tours like a community here. I've done a video with Westminster, okay? I send those out during the month or sometime weekly. You can also reach me that way. I do group tours, and I'm on a Tiger team. I'm a part of the chamber, and I also, all my services are at no cost to you, okay? And it's not special. This is how we always have been. We're boots on the ground. Thank you. My card is in the back.
Thank you so much, Retta. Again, I want to ask you to give all of our panelists a round of applause. Hopefully you have some great takeaways this evening, something to share with a friend or family member, or give you something to noodle on as you continue to plan for your retirement. Before we turn it over for questions and answers, we are almost at the end of our time together. I would like to ask someone from a representative from the Prince William County Area on Aging to join us, just to share a few words with us. And so would you please join us? I don't have your name.
It's okay, it's Rosalind.
Rosalind to join us here at the front, if you have a few moments.
Hello, my name is Rosalind. I'm with Area Agency on Aging. I have some flyers I handed around. I just want to basically take note of what was said about senior centers. We have in Manassas, Woodbridge. We also have, I have my coworker, Rosemary. She does Medicare counseling. So if you have any questions, I know Medicare is very confusing. She's very helpful with that. We do have some legal assistance. They do attend some of the senior centers. You do have to make an appointment, but there is a phone number you can call and get more information. I also want to mention the Bluebird tours. I don't know if anybody's heard of them. Everybody loves them. There is a phone number. They have a huge booklet. They're always doing things, it's basically field trips for adults.
And they'll send you email, if you get on their list, they email you regularly about what the upcoming trips are for you.
Yes. That's really it. Please call us if you ever have any questions.
You also have an adult daycare in Woodbridge.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
I hope to do something there.
We do.
Sure.
Yes.
Is that Palazzo?
Yes.
Palazzo. Yes.
Palazzo.
Yep. Does anybody have any questions?
They're great community partners.
Yeah, we try. But yes, our phone number's on there. I have some cards. Please reach out to us if you have any questions, you need help connecting to any resources and examples.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. So we're about 10 minutes before we end, but we do want to open up for questions and answers at this time. I'm going to ask Laura to join me here at the podium. So if you have some questions, I believe at the beginning of our session together, you were given some index cards for your questions. And if you have those, if you would pass them on to Laura.
Okay.
No questions.
Or they can just raise their hand.
Okay, or we can certainly raise our hand. We like to keep the questions just as a resource, but certainly we'll try to keep track through our video. So if you have any questions about any of the things that you've heard here today, or any topics that you didn't hear that you would like to hear from one of our panelists, we'd love to hear from you at this time. It's on.
While you're thinking, I'm actually on a commission with the county. It's the Disability Committee. I'm the Occoquan representative, but frankly, we are in partnership with the Area Agency on Aging. And I think our Area Agency on Aging is kind of almost one of the best kept secrets. There's a lot of things going on, and you were really getting your information out there. Then we had COVID and things kind of changed. Now you're back up and running again, right? Do you run the Meals on Wheels from that organization?
Mm-hmm. So if you call our volunteer phone number, you'll talk to Tracy, and she's the main person for that.
For that, okay, to get the delivery set up, et cetera, and you're back up and running on that as well, right? Okay.
There is a wait list though.
There's a wait list in Woodbridge, but not in Manassas.
Okay, and then there's another thing I know they do, they're in connection with Fairfax and Arlington, et cetera. It's the online streaming exercise program. You come out with a calendar monthly, I know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it for a couple of months, so I don't know if it's.
I'll check on it.
Check on that, because it's a great program. You can pick up all sorts of different kind of classes, and if you don't want to go, you can do them online because they have video, okay? Yes?
I retired from Fairfax, and I worked in transportation. And when I first came, and I live here, and when I first came here, I just don't see the commitment here to seniors in Prince William County. There are 17 senior centers in Fairfax County. 17.
Oh, yeah.
I just, Fairfax. I just couldn't believe it that there are only about 2 here. There's not the commitment and the resources put into senior centers, especially senior center transportation. That was my area. Where we would pick up people and take them at home and take them to senior centers, take them to adult daycare.
Right.
Senior high rises, we pick them up and take them, they get a certain amount of trips a month where we take them to Walmart, and they pick where they wanted to go. Someone wanted to go gambling, to the casino. There was just so much more resources dedicated to this area. And I don't know if it's the community just demanded that much from the board, because that's how it works. People from the community, they go to the board and they demand things. Because everybody's fighting for their taxpayer money. And that's what that is. It's your money, but you got to demand those services. And in Fairfax, they demanded those services.
It's run by your county supervisors.
Yeah, but the people go to the county board of supervisors and they demand those services. See, now this didn't happen overnight. I'm telling you, the people in the community, the way this all started, they went to that county board and said, this is what we want.
Right, no,
And badgered them year after year until they got it.
Right, and that's what we have to do here, because that's something that I brought up. When we have our aging in place senior expo, we have it at the mall, Prince William Mall. Do you know where they have theirs in Fredericksburg? At the Fredericksburg Expo Center. And they bust them in like you would thought it was a Taylor Swift concert. They bust them in, over 400 seniors, hundreds of tables of vendors, county, everybody's there. I said, they can do it down there, and I'm looking. It says area agency on the bus. You can do it down there, why aren't you doing it up here? And they keep telling me, your county supervisor, you have to go to them, they have to vote on it, they have to approve it. But we're at the mall, where walkers are. That's where we're at the mall.
I'm gonna say one thing, okay? I moved here for a 3-year military tour 30-some years ago, okay? Somehow I just never left, all right? But when I moved here, I couldn't find any old people. I lived in I had come in from Ohio. Ohio had lots of old people, because they had lots of, I would go from Lake Ridge for I don't know how long. I never found any older people in that area. I found them in Woodbridge, because that's an older community, all right? And I did see some in Manassas, because that was a longer community. But if I just stuck in the Lake Ridge area, I didn't find any. And then you know what happened? I'm one of the older people now, because I didn't leave. But I think that that's an issue. We didn't have a lot of older people and a lot of growth.
It wasn't a need.
So it wasn't on, they were building schools, right? All we had were kids in schools, and you're right. Now we need to be more of an advocate to our county board of supervisors and say, hey, wait a minute here. We need to age in place, if you know, et cetera. So we need to start addressing this, because you have a very good point. I worked in Fairfax, and you're right. But Fairfax is a much older area.
Can I add to this? This brings me back to what John said earlier. It has to start with young folk. And although, I may look young, I'm in that 50-something group too, so I have my AARP card as well. But it does take advocacy. It does take someone who is looking out for the aging population. And because where we live in Prince William County, it was a place where people just kind of passed through and didn't plant roots. It hasn't become a priority. But to bring us back to legislation and pushing those who are our county supervisors and above to really think about Prince William County in that way. And then there's the cost implications that go alongside that. But certainly, I think we need young, virile people who understand the importance of looking out for seniors.
And I think this might be part of the answer to the question that came, which was, what are the most important issues and things we need to address about how to avoid before we get into a crisis situation? Okay? And obviously, we need to become more involved, more vocal about and have more things like this, okay? And you're right about having the senior expo at the Potomac Mall, because that's not, when I moved here, everybody went there, but that's not where people go now so much, so right, okay? So are there any other suggestions about what we need to do?
I think you said it, education is most important, and it can't be a one-time education. No. It has to be continuous, and it has to be with people who are subject matter experts, like the folks that we've heard from today, and they have to come with resources and tools to get folks thinking about that longevity. Without that, then I think that it's going to continue to be a miss for us, especially in this county.
One other thing to think about is that the county needs more revenue. So there's this issue about data centers, but there's always the thing about how many businesses can you attract to the county. And the business community, they're looking for good schools, they're looking for housing, but also a lot of people don't think of transportation. They're looking for daycare. They're looking for good daycare, because a lot of places don't have good daycare for young kids, but also for people that need help taking care of their parents. That's a selling point for Prince William County to say that we have a strong network of senior daycare or services for seniors, just like we have a strong network of daycare for young people, and great schools, and great parks.
But the cost of living here has gotten much higher. I was just at a meeting with the Economic Development. They had a meeting at the church over there in Dumfries. He hosted it, and they were talking about the businesses trying to attract new employees here, but they can't afford the cost of living. The apartments are too high, the homes are starting getting too high. To be honest with you, I couldn't even afford my house if I had to come around and buy it right now. And so they're talking about how can we make it more affordable to attract the working class to come in, because the prices are getting higher and higher. So it's great to have all those resources, but if you don't have a place to live, even though you got a great job, and my girlfriend, she's been working for the government for years, and she's up in Alexandria, and she's been trying to buy a house this way, but she says, brother, it's just expensive to buy.
Well, yeah, and that goes back to the living wage in this area. As we know, the starting wage just went from $12 to $12.41. That is not enough in this county to live off of, and so it does not attract young folk who are trying to grow families or jumpstart their lives. And they're apt to go to, Fairfax County and even now Loudoun County because of just, the pay differentials.
Hey, but you can't afford to live in one of those places.
Right.
Yeah.
They have to live further south because our teachers can't afford, our young teachers.
They might go to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Right. Go ahead.
I just want to say, what you just said, Laura, reminded me of me and us. I was not a senior when we moved here 30 years ago.
Yeah, neither was I.
And, it's so true. This was considered a bedroom community for Fairfax.
Correct.
MDC. And people were young because they were teachers and whatever. And now I'm a senior, way over a senior. And I hadn't even thought of it that way, but that is true. And then in the meantime, everything has just gone sky high.
Sounds like another topic for
Another day.
Yeah. Right?
That's right.
Right. Are there other questions?
The finance issue.
I would really like to compliment the committee that put this program together. I think it's really well thought out. You've got a great presentation. I've been a member of Committee 100 off and on for 15 years, maybe or more. That's where I met Dr. Jack and learned the real story of Lake Ridge way back when. But the point is, I always learn about things as I meet people from other areas, and you guys have just built, all of your programs I've seen this year had just, they looked great. This just happened to be a year I wasn't available to leave home as easily. And so thank you very much for doing this. Okay?
Thank you.
It's a great start, and we have a great new topic, right?
We sure do.
Anybody else?
What?
Yes.
It's not gonna be long when it's gonna.
Okay, Don, keep it short.
I think what we need to do too is figure out some topics that attract young people.
Yes.
Yes.
True.
You know, we're still kind of young and everything, but I want to see some.
I'm younger than you though, Don, so we can attract some young people.
Y'all come to the program committee meeting. That's where we talk about.
Right.
And it's free and it's on Zoom.
I know.
But I think this is topic young people need to hear, because they may be facing taking care of their parents.
Yes.
So all this information that I have today, this is great information, because they can have it in almost nowhere. Somebody falls, you're young, you want to get my senior center, you get to take care of your parents.
Well,
I wish somebody had given me the heads up.
The resources, the talent, because, yeah, we've had some great programs.
I certainly could have used some of this information way back in the day when I was much younger. Wish I paid attention then, because I learned everything from trial and error,
It's the same
That's
here.
what
I'm
happens.
saying, I started the sandwich generation earlier than some people, and each situation was a learning curve.
Yeah.
As they
So I'm training my daughter up well. Get ready. It's gonna be payback. She wants me to watch her kids, and then she gets to watch me. So, we have to adapt, and there's gonna be an adaptation, and we'll pull through it.
Dr. Jack.
I just want to say the county has great resources on aging and social services, and I'm so glad they're here, because that is a resource that we need to let other people know about.
We need to capitalize on it.
Absolutely, and please visit, there is a table outside of the door here with flyers and information that you can take with you. Feel free to tap into any one of our guests. I'm sure they're gonna head out of here pretty quickly though, because it's getting late and everyone has to work tomorrow. Okay, so thank you all for coming. It's been a great meeting. Look forward to seeing you at the next C100 meeting. Thursdays is C100. Next month, we will meet at Brittany's Restaurant, and the topic will be on panhandling. We are building a wonderful program, and we hope to see you there. Thank you.
will be. I'm trying to get Al Alborn. He did an article today. And, Inside Nova.